to the weeds in terms of that's equipment that is heavily depreciated, right? But it does, it does come to the county and ultimately to the city through the county, yeah.
Well, last evening I spoke to Bert's leadership, but I'll also tell you Microsoft in these last many, many months, their dealings with our entire team, water, wastewater, engineering, planning, everybody. And we got this deal also because we have a special team. All our department heads, all our team members that work here, it's a special place. So top to bottom, LaPorte is going to move forward with this deal because of the staff, because of the team we have that will be able to work together to make Microsoft successful. So, and again, they are a true community partner. In fact, I was so surprised how quickly Mike Stockwell just wanted us all to know that he was a Purdue grad. So I just want to make sure he couldn't stop talking about that. So I was glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Chief Snyder.
Hard to follow that one, so I will pass today.
Chief Buell.
Nothing to report.
Chief Batchelor.
Chief, all right. I'd like to call up the new animal control person, Paula. We hired her the first of May. Paula Stokes.
Welcome, Paula. Come forward, please.
Good morning.
So she came in and we interviewed her. She went through training. She's got certified. She went and did a ride around in one of the neighboring communities for 3 days. And so she officially started last week.
Welcome, Paula.
Thank you.
Thoughts?
Thanks for having me. I'm a retired operating engineer, Local 150. I'm an avid animal lover, and I think this is a great fit for me and you guys, so.
Love that. Lots of
welcome.
win-wins today.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the most proactive way we can deal with this is to make sure those that have pets is to make sure they take care of them.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't come to the need for Paula, but we're certainly glad to have you. But please be responsible with your pets. Don't take on more animals than you can handle. And, but we've heard nothing but great things.
Okay. Thank
Welcome.
you.
Thanks, Paula.
Nick Otis, legal.
Nothing. I have a couple items on the agenda.
Courtney Parthune,
Nothing to report, thank you.
Nick Minnick, Jerry Jackson, Tim Werner.
Thank you and good morning. I just wanted to let everybody know that we did finally start drilling our new Soldier Memorial wells yesterday. We started with number 11, which is the well closest to Small Road or Orchard Bluff. It's typically 1 week process of drilling. After that, hopefully by Friday, they'll have the casing and everything grouted. Then we'll move over to the just east of the boat launch and we'll drill that well. It'll be about a week long. Then they'll start development of the wells. That's setting the formation and everything in the well, starting to pump the driller mud out. Since it's a new well field, we'll have to do 72-hour test on those wells. There's going to be a lot of water out there. There's going to be a lot of water spread out across the grass. We put things in place to keep it out of the road, keep it out of the lake. But I just want to let the public know, once we start that 72-hour pump test, there's going to be a lot of water. So what that does is that lets us know, first of all, if we can put other wells in that area. That's our plan. And then to see how they affect each other when we're running them. You're running one hard to see what the drawdown is on the other well. That way, if we have to put a process in of alternating those wells or know that we can't run them at the same time, that's what helps with this process. And setting the well. That way it's a good production well moving forward. After the 72-hour pump test and the development of the wells, then we'll know what our flows are out of those wells, and we can bid out the pumping equipment at that time. Around that same time, we'll be bidding out the pipeline. So there will be a pipeline that runs from the far well to the west all the way to Lake Street plants, about 7,500 feet. So there's definitely going to be some construction in the area, and but this is what we talked about, bringing in new water to LaPorte, especially to our plant 1. And it's been a long road, a lot of permits, and starting a whole new well field's a lot different than going into an existing well field and punching wells. So we're excited about it. We're excited to get the water coming to the plant, but I just wanted to make sure the public is aware that it's it's gonna be wet.
And if citizens have questions, what number should they call?
They can call the plan at 219-362-9540. They can ask for me or anybody who answers the phone is well informed on what's going on out there. But they can ask for me. I'm Tim Warner. If I'm not in the office, they can leave me a message or talk to one of the operators that answer the phone.
Those that, oh, I'm sorry, David Heinhold, Planning, anything today? So, those that do not have business before the board, please take a minute, go enjoy a great day today. New business, Friday Night Lives.
Morning. So we are, as Mark Schreiber mentioned, summer's getting started, and I just wanted to update the board with the dates of our summer Friday night live programs. The first one is this Friday, which is Friday, June 7th, and it's going to be a cruise-in with 50s music, and then, so there's one every month. And Friday, July 5th, will be the long-awaited and much-beloved Taco Fest. Get there early. Friday, August 9th, is Cheeseburger in Paradise. Always a really, really fun night. And then I think last year was the first year they added the Friday before the Sunflower Fair, and that is going to be Friday, September 20th. And it is in a different location. So the first three are on Monroe Street under the lights. And the last one, September 20th, is on Michigan Avenue between Lincoln Way and Maple. And so they set up right on the road where the Sunflower Fair is. And so it's just an update and for your information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nick Otis.
Thank you. Covering this for Craig Phillips today. We have before you two approval of purchase option agreements for a portion of Scott Field and a Boyd Boulevard parcel. These are option to purchase agreements between the city of LaPorte and Advantix for potentially for low-income housing development. So pursuant to Indiana law, this is, as the board is well aware, there's typically quite a statutory process to sell property, have appraisals and open it to public bidding. There are, let's see, the statute has 25 exceptions to that process, one of which is when a city or governmental entity disposes of residential structures or improvements without consideration to a nonprofit corporation that is organized to expand the supply of or sustain the existing supply of good quality, affordable housing for residents of Indiana having low or moderate incomes. And so these are purchase or option agreements for up to 12 months. They can be extended. I know that Craig Phillips has presented on this extensively. Advantix, I believe, is kind of an entity formed through the city of Evansville that has had a lot of success developing low-income projects.
They're a not-for-profit?
Correct.
And they work a program where, in many instances, if you rent for up to 15 years, you will then own the home for those families, individuals that may not be able to afford the down payment, getting a mortgage, and it's a nice option throughout many communities in the state. Advantix has been very successful. I also want to give credit, Mark Schreiber, if you don't mind coming forward for a minute. You know, it was Mark's idea about coming up with the Scott Park location, and it's not easy to give up park property, but we think this is a win-win situation for the city and for the lack of housing.
Yeah, so about two and a half years ago, brought this to Nick Minnick, and we kind of looked at it. At the same time, we were working on our next 5-year master plan, trying to figure out really what we could do potentially with that Scott Field property that is kind of blocked off from the residential built up along Jefferson. Right now, it's underutilized. The occasional group might gather back there, unfortunately, probably more bad actors than good actors. and it's quite a bit of maintenance to continue to mow. We have a lot of deferred maintenance there. So we really needed to either have a plan or discuss what maybe would be a best usage for it. And at that time, we discussed, maybe this would be good infill for residential. It was brought up at the Notre Dame Charrette, which was about a year and a half ago, and therefore made it into their plan, and then just became the ideal project then for this to move forward. So the park board has been supportive of it to this point. I believe at our next meeting, we'll be talking about, getting their approval to officially seed it to this project. And like I said, there's been great support for it so far from the park side, so we hope to see it move forward.
And just real quick, Mayor, Scott Park is made up of 2 parcels, and this is the eastern parcel, as Mark mentioned, where the park, the playground is, that's not going away or anything like that, correct?
Correct, yeah. So the whole idea would be the area that is visible from Jefferson that goes straight back. Basically, you would draw a line right up that fence line and go straight back to right about where the Polish Falcons is. And we would retain that as a neighborhood pocket park, still have plenty of room. It has the playground, the everything that's developed, the shelter, the basketball court, and we'd still continue to have that in our summer playground program. It would still be a real nice pocket park. We're not really losing anything because the park stays there, but it's also within a 10-minute walk of the Clear Lake Trail, Ben Reese Park, green space at the Civic Auditorium, Lincoln School, and just beyond that, Heilman Elementary is just beyond that. Lindewald Park, so the neighborhood would still continue to have what we would consider sufficient park service.
And it'll be a draw for the people that choose to live there.
Absolutely, and I know one of the angles that our planning is looking at is how to make these available to veterans, or at least market it towards veterans, because the proximity to the American Legion right there, which is a great resource for them to receive services. So it just seems like it would be a win all the way across the board. And again, this was a piece of property that we really didn't have any plan or really any good path forward on developing because of the fact that it was so obscured from any crossroad or anything like that. We didn't really want to do any building back there, and it just seems to make sense to make it go to better use.
Can you remind me how many houses are supposed to be on that particular one? I know there were a different amount on each of them. Was that around 12 or 13?
I
So
think that's right.
that parcel is 2.35 acres, so
I thought 11 homes.
I thought it was 11 to
Okay.
12, depending on how it wound up finally being laid out.
So do I have a motion to approve the purchase option agreement?
So moved. And is this, can we
Let me
do
get-
both here?
yes,
or-
you can do both of them, and one thing to add, I believe they are targeting some grants, and that's the reason for the option versus purchasing it outright right now. They want to make sure they qualify for the grants before going forward for
So
this.
the motion is contingent upon Advantex well, I shouldn't say the motion. is
Tax credits.
The plan is
Option.
contingent upon, the
Yes,
option is
correct.
contingent upon them getting the grant.
Yep.
Right, okay. So moved for both properties, the Boyd and the Scott Field.
Second.
Discussion.
No,
All in fa-
I agree. I'm thankful for you pointing that out because that was my understanding as well for
Well,
Advantix.
Usually LaPorte does not score well when it comes to tax credits for this type of housing. This year, based on the state's focus on smaller communities, we rate very well. So that's why this is a great opportunity this year, so.
Well, I think, Mayor, too, you'd mentioned, I know, I'm pretty sure previous meetings, this area is the lowest income tract in the county, is that right?
county.
Yeah.
And we've heard from, I can't imagine anybody being opposed to it, because we've heard consistently, we need more affordable housing,
All the
more
time.
affordable housing, and so I would think this is in support, everybody would support this, because that's what these people have been asking for. So, with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Bert Cook.
Good morning again to the Board of Public Works. At your last meeting, I presented you with an MOU for a piece of artwork, a sculpture to go in the Plaza 618. Unfortunately, between the time that you approved that and I was able to notify the artist, he had sold that to another community that was interested. So I have another MOU for you. This artist has a number of sculptures that we could have chosen from. So presented that to our kind of art selection group, and they picked a different sculpture. Many of the details are the same. It's still very much the same size, same price, same insurance value. And so the only real difference is the piece of art. So I'd ask that you approve this morning. I know Chief Bachelor's group is willing to assist with the installation of this, which was an important piece. If I can approach, I'll give you the MOU.
Well, if Chief Bachelor breaks a piece of it, he will definitely be demoted from chief, so.
I wanna see the color copy.
I will say this was the mayor's choice too on the sculpture that he preferred, so
Is that because it's called hoopla?
apparently.
It has definitely a higher sort of energy level to it than
Right,
the
right.
prior piece, right?
But I think the team that voted on it also.
Yeah, everyone did like that
I was gonna
piece
say,
the best, yes.
the color picture is definitely doesn't come through on the black
It
and white
doesn't,
quite
yeah,
so
you
well.
can't tell.
Yeah, so happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Motion to approve,
So moved.
Second,
discussion. All in favor?
aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
Thank you.
Melissa,
Hopefully you don't have another one that has to come back again. You better get on the phone.
Call them right away.
yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
Mr. Cook. If you
Absolutely,
could,
and you know what, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, Janet Block of the Lebesnick Center has helped us through this process. Janet's wonderful, she's doing a great job, and we will notify them right away that we'd like this piece. Thanks.
Melissa Mischke.
Good morning. I have agreement from ESRI for a small enterprise agreement, which is going to be for software licensing, for GIS software. It's going to allow us to add more people onto our existing licensing. Currently, I think David, Tucker, and I are the only ones that have access to that software. So we want to open that up. It's going to allow us to increase our usage of the Cartograph OpenGov portion of that as well for work orders. So it's a small enterprise agreement. It's going to give us access to a lot of software that we would not normally have access to for a single price. That price is being covered from the tree grant, which is a reimbursable. So I've had verbal commitments from water, wastewater, and engineering that we're going to pay the initial amount and then it'll get reimbursed through that tree grant.
Tree grant.
Yes.
TRE. Okay, just making sure I understand.
And how will this help with the trees? I know Tucker's not here.
We're gonna
but-
do inventory, we're gonna update our tree inventory using GIS in-house as opposed to not necessarily doing it all out of house, which we've done previously. So that tree inventory would be available to other departments like parks, streets, other city departments that need to see where trees are at or where we're planning on planting.
So will it be a 100% reimbursed from
It
the
is.
tree grant?
To my
Okay.
understanding, yes.
Gosh, should we make it contingent upon the tree grant, or is that a
It's a sure
solid?
thing.
That is a sure thing, that's been.
Okay, just making sure, all right.
Yeah, and I've asked Tucker to check more than once to make sure it's 100%
This just helps our
reimbursed.
Cartograph OpenGov program, which if you remember in the past, I came to you to get all the departments together. So this is just another tool to help that whole program work citywide.
It's really a step towards having a complete asset. It's a step towards having a very complete asset management system and program in place. So it's key. We really can't do that without this.
So it states that it's for 3 years, correct?
They modified the contract for us. It's going to be a 2-year contract for the
Okay,
56.
I see, because I see only 2 years being paid for, so I thought we maybe got the third year for free.
I wish. I tried. They weren't going to go for that, but
Okay.
it is a 2-year agreement because we knew that's the amount that we could cover with that grant.
Maybe if
Okay.
that's how we approve the motion.
So I do have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jerry Jackson, surprising with the latest round of rain that we've had.
It's surprising we haven't had more applications. I think we're starting to hit the ones, that have had problems in the past. This one is an expensive one because they have a lot of sinks and drains and things that are over the floor that need to be moved in order to correct the plumbing. It's 111 Stanley Court. The total charge is $8,260. I contacted Di and said, hey, this seems out of whack, and they sent me a bunch of pictures and explained what needed to be moved and why this is more expensive than most, and it's understandable. The city's share, I would turn to my page here. The city's share would be $6,445. The residents' share would be $1,815. These sort of things, you weigh how much you're spending versus you gotta treat people equally. I'd recommend we go ahead with this.
Did we have a cap that we put on it?
We did.
It was 5,000. So Board of Works, I mean, you guys can approve over there's a $5,000 cap on that.
And Jerry, from your perspective, we think this is higher rate of cost because,
Because they have to move a sink, they have to move a bunch, and repipe that sink, they have to move their washer dryer. It's just the way the plumbing, existing plumbing is, requires a bunch of modification. And was bad idea to put all the plumbing under the floor like that in the past, and the cost to fix it.
So you are asking us to approve the entire 6445, or you're in an exception to?
The
rule
5,000
of
cap, is that written
5,000?
right into our
I
language?
think it is. I mean, I can double check that, but I think that's how it was written.
I'd ask the board to approve it up to the $5,000 cap. I think that's still a pretty good deal for the resident.
I agree. I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
and I think that's the point, because if we have a cap, then at the next time, what happens?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
no.
I would agree there. Further discussion?
Well, and thank you for making that adjustment, right? But I think, one part of it could be, depending on the homeowner, they could have made significant changes, right, to the plumbing that, to some degree, that's not, I look at it like not necessarily the city's responsibility, so.
Great.
But yeah, I think going up to the cap is fine on that, so, good.
And it allows us to help additional people,
sure.
additional residents, so.
For sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Unfinished.
Mayor, real quick, Jerry, I had a question. We were talking about so we've had a lot of storms, kind of live right near Kingsbury Ave, and some of those, the drains back up. Is that because they simply just can't handle that much rain at one time?
At Kingsbury in Indiana, those are INDOT drains, and something's not correct with those because they sit flooded for a long period.
Okay.
That's a mechanical problem. They're not related to the piping of the storm sewer or the combined sewer underneath.
Will that change when we have the construction on Indiana Ave?
It will.
Okay.
And just north of there, if you don't notice this unless you're looking, but the road does this, and there's a low spot in there that floods badly, just north of Kingsbury. There's a bunch of extra drains put in that place because there's a lot of water that comes there, a lot of leaves. Should correct that one too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think on both sides of Indiana, they're probably close to where you live, kind of higher up and then just flows down. Got it.
Well, we know it's not mowed grass from the median, so it's getting in the drain. Unfinished business, other than that, we've had a great day. I'm not sure there's anything else we could say to add to this meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Enjoy the historical day in LaPorte.